Okay, so let me begin. Welcome to ITSE 2402 tutorial for Unit 5. I'm going to be covering exercise 5.1 and 5.2. They're actually fairly simple. I'm going to be using two web tools to complete the assignment. I'm going to get things started in CodePen, which will allow me to see my code as I'm typing it. Same thing with the HTML and JavaScript. And then I'm going to jump over to GitHub so that I can publish it in a web page. I do believe I have a live chat going. If you're here and you want to say something, you can say something on the side. It's I'm only mentioning that because I'm still testing the system, and I think I'm getting a little bit at it, a little better at it, but not completely there yet. So I'm scrolling over to my Unit 5 in eCampus, and Unit 5, hopefully by now you've had the time to read it. It's about functions. What are functions? In JavaScript, basically we're writing programs, we're writing code that does something. Function is, imagine just a little program. It's just a little piece of code that does one thing that maybe you want to repeat over and over again. So I'll scroll down. Hopefully like I said, you've read this. There are some samples, and samples are always good because they always have to do with the assignments. I do have at the very bottom, by the way, I did include one in exercise 4 in Unit 4, and that is a JavaScript template. This is something that you can copy and paste and put into an HTML page so that you can work on your assignments. This part of the assignment though is pretty simple, so I'm probably gonna write the whole code in CodePen. That shouldn't be an issue. Well, I've mentioned CodePen all this time, so I'll go to CodePen, and I have some dummy code here that's doing nothing. I'll just close it. I'll open up a new tab and open up CodePen again. So there's CodePen. Oh, I was supposed to say something, and I did. So I'm already logged into CodePen. My account is idtprof as well here. I think that the text is big enough that it's readable. It might be a little bit too large. I'm going to go down a couple of steps here. And then I'm going to create a new pen. So basically I'm creating a new file, a new opportunity for HTML code. I'll click on pen. And although we will be doing some JavaScript, it's not enough to need its own space. I'll actually just add it as a script. If you remember, one of the very first assignments in this class was to say hello world. This is coming up again here just because it's an easy sample to follow. So I said I wasn't going to copy the HTML template just because it's very useful, but it's a lot of code and I don't want to get lost in all this code right now. So in the pen, I'm going to write the simplest of HTML pages. I'll open up an angle bracket and declare the document type. And this is only for the benefit of GitHub, which is where I'm going to be taking this, and declaring this as an HTML. So the document type is HTML. I should have typed at the very beginning an exclamation point, a bang is what we like to call that. And because that's the way that HTML rolls. It needs a bang at the beginning, and then you can declare the doc type as HTML. I'll keep on going. I know that I'm going to have lots or some HTML, so I'll declare, open up a tag saying there's HTML coding to come, and at some point it's going to finish. So I'll close it, open bracket /HTML, and everything that is HTML will have to be inside of this page. For sanity's sake, I'm going to turn off my face. It's only so much of that I can take a day in this time of Zoom meetings. So now that I have the HTML, once again, basic HTML code states that at some point I'm going to need to have a body, which is a big part of the assignment. Open up an angle bracket again, / close the body by repeating the code. In here, why don't I do something simple as we do on every page? Open angle bracket and H1 for a header, and just say something simple. Hello world exclamation point for the 100th time this week. Slash h1 will close, and we have a header that says hello world. I'll put in additional code here just because I can. I'll put in a paragraph and say, well, a page is loaded, and that's just a simple statement. Doesn't mean anything. Why don't you type whatever you want to type? Just make it class appropriate, and get a little bit of practice in HTML. So now what? What do we have to do? Let's go back to what does this have to do with our assignment? We want to do at the very bottom here. We're working on 5.1. It's a function and an event. So our function, we should have. Oh, excuse me. Should have already read about what a function is, and I gave you the very basic definition. It's just a program inside a program. In the page's head section, which we haven't declared yet, but we will, we can define a custom JavaScript function. So I'll do that. Actually, it's before HTML. We'll put in head. That's where the title of the page would go and things like that. Oh, and it closed it for me. And we're gonna create, that is, define a custom JavaScript function. In this function, we're gonna use the alert built-in function. That's the one that pops up the window with a message, and you did that before in assignment, and it will display text that is contained in a parameter that you put into the function's definitions parentheses. Well, that's a lot of words, right? So let's go back to here just to tell you what that means. Inside of our head, am I looking at the right place? HTML. Oh, there you go. Unit 5. Okay. Since I was typing in a different screen, I'll come back here and let's do the head. I opened up another notepad and got lost. Okay, so there's the head and the head. Here is where our script will go, and we can declare the script, and we could have put this, I know that the assignment says to put a head up there, but since I didn't type it correctly, let's just put it in the body. The JavaScript can go pretty much anywhere. It could be in a separate file even. So I'll just put it at the bottom of the page here and declare the script by open bracket script and closing it right away. That should be the script in the middle here. I'll just put in a couple of statements, or rather enter their returns to give me some space, and we can start to think about declaring a function. First of all, what would the function be? Well, it's going to be an alert, as we said before. Remember the alert that said hello world? All it was basically that. It would say alert. I'll put in a tab here, alert, and then the parentheses to say whatever comes in here. Inside of quotes, we're going to do a script. Okay, it's already trying to say something, the alert. I'll click OK and put in the quotes and say hello world, even though it already says that on the page. And as soon as I type that, it gives me a pop-up message. It says hello world. So this is gonna become kind of annoying after a while. So although it's there, I'm going to cut it just so that I don't have to deal with it. In the meantime, I can tell you how we're gonna set up a function. You saw the alert that I just typed in there. If I want to declare a function, I have to use the very obvious word here. It's called function. That declares a function as long as you follow it with the name of whatever you want your function to be called. In this case, I'm going to say it's going to be a pop-up. So I'll use POP, uppercase U and P, and that's the name of the function. I'll open and close parentheses. That just means that something should come in here as well. And unlike the alert, which just happened right away, I have to use curly braces just like we do in CSS when we're HTML. That just means that there is programming to come. So now I have declared a function that's called pop-up. Currently it does nothing, but if I start to type in here what I copied and I can paste it, or I can type it and just say alert, and then my parentheses, quote, hello world. That way, oh, guess, and at the very end, let's finish this with a semicolon. Whenever this page would load and a function is called, then it would say hello world. The way that we're going to do this, and in order to avoid that popping up that kept on annoying me a little while ago, I'm going to move my operations now to GitHub. I'm going to leave this one open. I'll click on my GitHub. My ITSC GitHub is having issues, so I'm using my inew2434. That's just a different account with a different username. But whatever your username is, username.github.io is where you should be working on your files. I'm going to then click on add file and create a new file. This new file, because this is unit 5, I'll start out by typing out that unit 05, and that's going to be the name of the folder where this is created, because it's my first file here. I'll click on slash, and this one I want to call function.html. Although, I mean, that sounds like a reasonable name. I think that I tell you something else. I think it's like, call it some events. So yeah, some events.html. So I'll use that name, although function would have been fine, but I'll call it some events, and I'll use the capital E events. No spaces on your file names. I use the capital E as a camel case. It makes it a little bit easier to read. It's 2 words put together. And then I copied the code that I was working on in CodePen, and I'm going to paste it. Well, I copied something, but not the whole thing. I still have it open. I'll click anywhere, press Control A to select all, Control C as in copy to copy, and then dump it here with Control V as in Victor. Now I'm declaring my document type. It's HTML, there's a body, and hello world, a page is loaded. I'm going to save this by committing the file, and I can't pause the video as I can in my regular video recording, so I'm just going to have to go back and wait a little bit. I'm on my home folder. I clicked on my username.github.io, that's the repository. I created a folder called unit05, and inside there should be a file called some events. I'll click it on this one just to see the contents, and that way that when I need to come in and edit it, I can just click on edit this file. But what I really want is to get this link. It's actually all this name. It's my username.github.io /unit05/someevents.html. Now that it's selected, it's all blue, I'll right click and tell it to go to that URL. It'll try to open it, and it says hello world, the page is loaded. Big deal, right? Right click, view page source. All I'm getting is the HTML. I created a function, but then I didn't call it. But at least I have the function made. Well, we can call a function just by invoking the name, but the assignment is a little bit more specific for 5.1. What needs to happen, I'll edit now. What needs to happen, if you read the directions, well, we already, this all here is satisfied by us creating a script. We're going to put in an unload attribute. We're going to be using an event handler. So when something happens, then something happens. I know that sounds redundant, but basically we're going to add a little bit of code that handles an event. That's what an event handler does. And then what that event or event handler is going to be doing is it's going to be calling our custom function. Our custom function is pop-up. So we need to call pop-up when something happens. Specifically, it's when the page loads. There is a whole list up here of things that you can do, and unload is one of them. That's what the sample at the top is. This says that when the page loads, then do something else. So you can see the sample of this code by clicking there. and it says click outside the text element or use the tab key. You can do all kinds of things. If I press tab key, then I get default text. Basically, it's whatever you type in here, it's whatever. And you press the tab key, and then whatever pops up. The code is just saying when you load the page, run this little program, and it's doing it well. Let's view the page source. It's not a lot of code. It's just basically saying, it's even simpler HTML code. It doesn't even declare it, just says HTML. It has the head that has the title. And then when the body is called, we have a body in our code. Then unload, it calls a function. This actually it's calling up a form, and then the form does something, but it happens when we load it. For our page, we're going to be not calling a form, we're going to be calling a function that's created inside of the code. So let's go back into, well, not here because that keeps on popping up, but here where I'm editing the file, find the body and then add the unload handler. So let's say when the body loads, unload equal sign, and then inside of quotes we're gonna call the function. Our function is called popup, P-O-P, uppercase U, lowercase p, and then open and close parentheses. We'll close the quotes right there, and let me double check that I got everything. Body unload is equal to popup. I'm putting spaces there just for readability, not that space. It will pop up in parentheses because there's nothing being called, and then it will look for pop-up, and pop-up, all it's going to do is say hello world. For your page, why don't you say hello world, and inside still the quote say my name is, and then your name. Okay, my name is Francisco, will be mine, exclamation point, because I would be excited if this runs. I'll scroll down and commit the changes. I'm committing the changes, and it's saving somewhere in the great GitHub server. I'm just looking at the code, which now, like I said, it's probably too much, but it's fine because it's still a valid HTML page. It's going to unload, call up the pop-up function. The pop-up function is declared in the script, and it's only an alert that says hello world, my name is, and my name. I'll go back to my other page and reload it and see what happens. What happens is that my boring page is loaded. Hello world, a page is loaded, and now I have a pop-up, an alert that says hello world, my name is Francisco. So actually I'm very happy with this function. It's very basic. It's a great first step for programming JavaScript. I'll click OK. And now anytime that I want to inform the world of my name, all I have to do in this program inside of this page is to call up this function that's called popup. I can change the name to something else. I can say, hey, you know, my name is, and then put my last name or something like that. When you are done with this, make sure that you save your file, your some events file, and by that I mean that it's committed, and run it and test it like I did. I'll test it again. Hello world, my name is Francisco. I'll click OK, and the URL up here, your username .github.io/unit05/someevents.html. Copy that. Go back to the assignment. That's the first assignment of Unit 5. It's 5.1. Click on the name of the assignment, and under assignment submission, write submission, and in this box press Ctrl V, V as in Victor. That will paste it, and then hit submit, and that will turn in your assignment, and then you'll be done with assignment 5.1. If you have any questions about this, please email me, let me know, and I'll get back to you and hopefully work it out with you. And if you have any other questions, remember that you can reach me by email. That's your best bet. I don't think in the end, I didn't see any messages pop up, and if they were popping up, I apologize because my windows are kind of crossed. That's why I was typing in another place. So thank you. I'll return in a bit and work on 5.2.